we woke up this morning. We were able to see that Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market has been a little happy. So that made lots of people happy. They saw green. We're seeing green right now overall. So people tend to get lulled to sleep when they see green. When they see green, everything's okay. They relax. They can put the charts aside and just enjoy the fact that they're making gains. When things are red, this is when people worry. They obsess. They stare at their charts all day long. They pine over whether to sell at a loss or to hang in there. And they're overcome with fears. The fears of Bitcoin suddenly losing all of its value, all of its purpose, and crashing toward zero. Why is it that we become so distracted by fear when we see red? And why is it that we become so distracted by euphoria when we see green? Well, we're not going to dive into the answers to those questions. Those are complicated, saved for another series of videos. But what I do want to call your attention to is the fact that we are in a certain situation with Bitcoin, and I think it is prudent to take a look at the situation. Bitcoin is on an uptrend for today, the last 2 days, as a matter of fact. But overall, where do you think it is? Where do you think things are going? On Twitter, I've seen it mentioned that Bitcoin is about to explode. It's going to go to the moon. Here we go. I've seen that. But I've also saw tweets similar on September 14th when Bitcoin was at $10,300. We had a nice green candle a few days in a row, but only to fall back down to 10,300 in the days following. So overall, Bitcoin has been pretty flat. It's been pretty flat since September 3rd. So it's been a few weeks. What is Bitcoin going to do? I think taking history into account and looking at the present climate, we can make a prediction about what Bitcoin might actually do in the near term. Now, obviously, we're bullish on Bitcoin in the long term, but the short term can give us opportunities to capitalize on the volatility of Bitcoin. Where do we see things going? Well, let's just take a look. We can see what has been happening in the Bitcoin world for the last few weeks. There has been constant pressure on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has tried to break through this resistance, but it hasn't been able to. It's tried to touch the resistance. It's tried to get past the midline of $10,820, but it's been unable to sustain a level beyond the midline to reach and pass through the resistance. Now it's continuing along this midline and it's been hugging the support line. What can we expect to happen in the near future? Considering the climate that we're in, considering the upcoming election and the uncertainty surrounding the presidential election in the United States, and looking at the historical example of Bitcoin in this particular season, we can predict that Bitcoin will move in the downward direction, temporarily, of course. So we expect this to happen as we get closer and closer to the crux, the point of the wedge, the peak of the wedge, that Bitcoin will be making a decision within the coming week. And we expect that decision that Bitcoin will make is that it will break out in the downward direction. This means over the next 5 days that these things are crucial. It's crucial that we pay attention. We don't know whether it's going to be tomorrow. We don't know whether it's going to be the next day. It may be 3, 4, 5 days until Bitcoin decides what it's going to do to break out in the upward or the downward direction. Now, we can't predict with total certainty, and I'm not professing to be a technical analyst, but I do see patterns, and I do understand what's happening in the climate of the world today. With a president that has succumbed to coronavirus, with an upcoming election, the uncertainties in the market, we can consider all of those things, and we can look to Bitcoin to make a decision, and we'll see what that decision is in the coming days. But I am focusing on the possibility for Bitcoin to move in the downward direction. If that is the case, I'm ready with stable coins on the side to be able to take advantage of a nice little dip and get Bitcoin once again at a nice discount. Are you taking these things into consideration? Do you have a plan if Bitcoin decides to move to the downward direction? Now, you may say, what if you're wrong? What if Bitcoin moves to the upside? Well, then, we'll just collect our profits and we'll continue to smile as we, day by day, week by week, and month by month, all throughout the year, dollar cost average to our heart's content. We're in it for the long haul. It's a long-term game, and we intend to make some substantial gains. What do you think? What is your strategy in the next 5 days as we look at the Bitcoin chart? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, stay smart. Stay in the black.